Hey guys, how you doing? This is JP Saricolia coming to you once again with another episode of this daily podcast, Age of Heroes. And today is really, we got some sad news today that of the passing of Stan Lee, the legend of Stan Lee, the man. It's really sad to hear. But it's in many ways also was expected, after all the news that we've been having. After, Stan Lee was 95 years old, so he got a good life. His wife passed away last year. So, as you know, people that love each other, it's a tough thing, when you love someone and then you have to part ways. So it was, in many cases, people at that age, a lot of people in many situations, very similar, of course. It doesn't take long for the spouse to also, to part ways, to pass away. And that's what happened with Stan Lee. He's been in the spotlight throughout this year for a lot of things, a lot of people, around him, and a lot of mismanagement, accusations of people taking advantage of his state of mind, his, mindset, a lot of things, money, people taking advantage of that too, stealing money from him. So it's been sad to see that, especially someone as exuberant as his personality. Stan Lee was a world apart. He was the type of person that everybody admired. And, and part of me feels that, it brings closure to it. And I'm glad for him, I hope that he's in a better place. And I'm sure that he will be in a better place than what he is right now. He was, and the situation that he was. He had a good life. I love Stan Lee, even through all the, all the stuff that has been said about him, over the years. People have accused him of taking advantage of artists and other people. There's something that is very clear about the way he was and the way he did things. Over the time, over the years, there was a lot of controversy around him. People, of course, like I said, accuse him of taking advantage of people and just for his own gain. But I believe that Stan Lee, of course, it's a product of a different era of comics, a time where people were really pushed, really hard. They worked really hard to do what they needed to do. And Stan Lee was involved as a, kind of the co-creator of so many of the greatest characters of modern times and in pop culture, characters like Captain America, characters like, Spider-Man, characters like so many, like Fantastic Four, the X-Men. He was involved in so many things. Marvel Comics would not be anything without him. Yes, I love Jack Kirby, and I love Steve Ditko stuff, and Everett and all the stuff they did, Daredevil and all those characters. But I don't think they would have come to the place they are now in the social environment that we live in and the pop culture that we live in without the help and the assistance of Stan Lee. Stan Lee was there. He pushed the envelope. He pushed this industry to new limits. He was a dreamer. He was a person that's so beyond that. He was a person that was not just enclosed into to be one thing or just say, we just stay in comic books. If it was just for comic books, these characters would have died a long time ago. But it was him and pushing and believing that there was a possibility that these characters were larger than life, that beyond comic book stories, that they can just reach out to, movies, animation, video games, you name it. And they had become so popular that, and enduring, and we love them so much. We care for them so much. We watch their movies, we play their video games, we buy the toys, the collectibles, they're larger than life characters. And it was because of that. And he was a visionary. There's no way to put it. He was more visionary than anybody else of his generation. Yeah, they were great artists. Jack Kirby was a phenomenal artist, and I don't think that we have come to know him as much if he wasn't for Stan Lee. It was Stan Lee that pretty much gave him the push and make him popular, make his characters popular, because before him, there was, really, Jack Kirby was already a known person in the industry, but a lot of these characters would have died, if it wasn't for him pushing the Marvel characters and making him popular through comic books, and people love him. It was something about his writing, and of course he's the creator of the Marvel style, the Marvel House style of, creation. Well, he gives a story, an overview of the story, and give it to the artists for them to run with it. And that was his style. That was his signature style. style that he created, and so many things that he did. The way he interacted with the customer, in this case with the kids and the clients and the people and the comic book readers, that was it. There was no one like him. He knew how to interact with people. He was very popular at the cons. He was full of energy. People loved to be around him, and he was there always to be supportive and supporting people and supporting artists the best way he could. Yes, he's a product of a different generation. There were a lot of things back in the day that, they were probably not done that we might consider today as abusive. But that was it, It was, being an artist in this industry was a contract. It's a job for hire. You do your work. You just get paid for your job. There was no royalties. Now, of course, we believe in that, and things have changed. And in some interviews, in recent interviews, he has mentioned that, he has talked about it, that, he reconsiders a lot of things that were done back in the day. And of course, it was a different time and a different light. But, like anybody else, Stan Lee, rank up. He moved from the ranks, he started back in 1939, back then in the day before Marvel Comics, in Timely Comics. And of course, move, through Atlas Comics, and then that became Marvel Comics. So he started as an editor, as a writer, a helper, for Marvel, for Timely, and then, of course, moved the ranks into becoming a writer, an editor-in-chief. Then, of course, become a president of the company, a CEO, and so many things that he has done. Film producer. He's been involved in that, and we're grateful. So, he unfortunately he passed away in many ways, but in many ways he leaves a legacy that cannot be undone. And I'm always gonna thank him. Many of my greatest childhood memories come from reading the comics that he wrote. The characters that he created. Thank him for Spider-Man, who was always, to me, it was an inspiration as a child. Characters like Captain America were endearing, and we love him so much. The X-Men, the Avengers. It was him. And, with the help of many others, it was him, the one that pushed them. If it wasn't for him, I don't think Marvel Comics would be as big as it is right now. So, rest in peace, if we can say that. Of course, once you die, you're done, but there is something more up there. I believe that, there's, personally, I believe there is heaven and hell. Some people might not believe that, or they might have a different version of things. But I pray for him, for his daughter. That's the one that, still here. And, I know that it's tough when you lose a parent. You lose a mother a year, and then a year later you lose your dad. So it's tough. So, but I believe that was the best thing, and he gave us his best, and we wish him the best. And not only that, to the entire comic book community. I know a lot of people are going to be probably today are going to be really sad because of the news, because what it really represents to us, the end of an era. And now we're living in a different era of comics. And of course, there's been a lot of heroes. We've been missing a lot of people recent years. A lot of good people have passed away, but so it's sad, that reminds us that we are fragile, that we are on this earth, just for a little bit, of time, whatever time is allotted to us, we are here, and we can make a difference to other people. And, that really keeps us, really humble to think about that. We think that we might live forever, but we don't. And I wish I had the stamina and the energy that Stan Lee had to live to 95. That would be the greatest thing. And to live and to experience and to be as creative and as productive and as hopeful as he was always, at least the way he presented himself to all the people and the way he wrote the things, I wanted to be as creative as he was. And, rest in peace, and thank you very much, and farewell, Mr. Stan Lee. Farewell. Thank you for all the laughs, and thank you for all the good memories. So God bless you all, and I'll talk to you again. Take care.